Hello, I'm Pete Martin for www.jazz-mandolin.com. Thanks for watching. If you want to get all my videos when they come out, be sure to subscribe to my channel. In this episode, we're looking at targeting thirds on major and minor 2-5-1 progressions. We covered playing dominant 7 chords, finding thirds on dominant 7 chords and various approaches to them in a video called Jazz Mandolin, Improvising with Thirds on Dominant 7 Chords. So you might want to look at that video first before you look at this one. No need to, but you might want to, just for a little extra background. As stated in that previous video, the thirds and the sevens really carry most of the weight and the color of the chord information and the function that the chord does in the progression. And because of that, jazz players really tend to target the thirds and sevens. So here we'll look at targeting. Here we'll look at targeting thirds, but you can do the same things to sevens. There's a PDF file that goes along with this, so email me and ask for the PDF file, Thirds and Solos, 2-5-1 in major and minor. In the following examples, I'm going to use 2-5-1 for major in the key of G major, and actually it'll be 2-5-1 and 4, which are the first 4 chords of the jazz standard Autumn Leaves in the key of G major, where it was in the, that's the key it's in the original real book. But you should really learn all of these examples in all keys eventually. Now the minor 2-5-1s, we're going to take the chords as they appear in the next little section of Autumn Leaves, which is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, or F sharp half diminished, B 7 flat 9, and E minor major 7. The 2-5-1 in major will be A minor 7, D 7, G major 7, and then the 4 will be C major 7. The first thing we'll want to do is learn where the thirds are in the 2-5-1 major and the 4 major. So for A minor 7, the third is C, and I will play the 5th fret on the G string for the C note. The D7 is F sharp is the third, and I will use the 4th fret on the D string for that. For the G major 7 chord, the third is B, and for the C major 7, the third will be E. In example 1, we're just going to play the third on the first beat of when that chord occurs. And I do that with a play along here. In example 2, I'm going to start from 2 notes below the third in the scale and play up to it, landing on the third on the first beat of when the chord is. So let's take the A minor 7 for example. The third is the C note, and I'm using the G major scale, so I'm going to start from 2 notes below that in the G major scale and play up to that third or that C note. So that will be 1, 2, 3. Like that. So in other words, the notes A, B, and C. or on the G string, the 2nd fret, the 4th fret, and the 5th fret. I play example 2 here. In example 3, I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm starting 2 notes above the third. The third, remember, we're thinking of a target we're thinking of the third as a target. So I'm starting 2 notes above that. So once again, on A minor 7, the third is the C note. 2 notes in the G major scale above that is E, D, C. So once again, I would play 1, 2, 3 to land on the C note on the first beat of the A minor 7 chord. And I do that with the rest of the chords in the 2, 5, 1, 4 progression. You'll see that here. In example 4, we mix these around. I come up underneath to the target in some of them, and down from above to the target in some others. You'll see that here. In example 5, we'll have a 4-note approach to the target. I'm going to play the 2 notes below the target, then the 2 scale notes below the target, the 2 scale notes above the target, and then the target. So once again, for the C note, which is the third of the A minor 7, the C note being our target, I'll play A and B, which are the 2 notes below. Then I'll play the 2 notes above, which is E and D, and then I'll land on the target. So in other words, 1, 2. And I do that for the whole progression here. Now, I didn't write it out on the PDF file, but you should practice the opposite thing here, where you do the 2 notes above the target, the 2 notes below the target, and the target. So in other words, it's just the opposite of what we just did. Okay, now in example 6 here, I mix these up, where sometimes I do the 2 below, 2 above, and sometimes I do the 2 above, 2 below. You can hear that here. The whole point of doing these exercises is getting to where you land on the third of the chord when the chord starts. Once again, that whole idea of the third being a target note. So I want you to improvise playing around with getting to that target note on the first beat that that chord is. The target, of course, being the third. For the 2-5-1 in the minor key, we're in E minor, I'm going to use the notes of the E harmonic minor, which are these notes: E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D sharp, and E. I show those on the screen here. The 2-5-1 in the minor key is a little different than the 2-5-1 in the major key. First of all, the 2 chord in a minor 2-5-1 progression is a minor 7 flat 5, or it's also called a half diminished. So a minor 7 flat 5 chord, here I'm playing F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and an F sharp half diminished are 2 names for the same thing. The half diminished symbol that you'll sometimes see in chord charts is the diminished little circle with a slash through it. So that is a half diminished sign. Okay. Very often, the 5 chord will be a dominant 7 flat 9. In this case, B7 with a flat 9. So you'll see B7 and then the little flat sign and 9. The 1 chord can really be any number of things. It can be a 1 minor 6. Oops. Helps when I get it in the right key, doesn't it? So that's an E minor 6, an E minor 7, or an E minor major 7. Any of those works as the tonic minor chord. And you'll quite often see chord charts on tunes interchange those 3 quite a bit. But actually that's up to you as a player to decide which one that you like, or you can move them around to various ones depending on what your ear tells you at that time. In the case of this exercise, we're going to use for the tonic minor chord, the 1 minor chord, we're going to use E minor major 7. So that's an E minor chord with a major 7. In the case of our examples for our tonic minor chord or 1 minor chord, we're going to use an E minor major 7, which is an E minor chord with a major 7. Very common 50s-ish, I should say, jazz sound. Now what we're going to want to do, just like we did in the 2-5-1 major, is we want to find where the thirds are in 2-5-1 minor. So for an F sharp minor 7 flat 5, the third is an A note. For a B7 flat 9, the third is a D sharp note, and I'll play that on the 6th fret of the A string. And for an E minor major 7, the third is a G note, which I'll play on the 5th fret, of the D string. So F sharp minor 7 flat 5, open A, B7 flat 9, the third will be D sharp, and a G note will be the third of an E minor major 7. In example 7, I play those targeted thirds, just described, on the first beat of each new chord. In example 8, I play into the target from 2 notes in the scale below. In example 9, I play into the target from 2 notes in the scale above the target. examples 10 and 11 mix sounds from examples 8 and 9. In example 12, we're going to play 2 notes above the target, 2 notes in the scale above the target, and 2 notes in the scale below the target into the target. So in other words, for the A note, which is the F sharp minor 7, flat 5, the third of the F sharp minor 7, flat 5, we play the 2 notes above that, which is C and B, and then the 2 notes below that, F sharp G, and then the target. So, 1, 2. So example 12 is here. In example 13, we do exactly the opposite. 2 notes below the target, 2 notes above the target, into the target. So for, once again, the A note, which is the third of the F sharp minor 7, flat 5, I'll play F sharp G, C, B, and then into the target A. So in other words, 1, 2. One of the things I want you to now do is mix all of these up. So start with the target note, then maybe 1 note below the target and into the target, 2 notes below the target into the target, 2 notes above the target into the target, etc. So mix up all these examples, and then I want you to improvise some of your own examples and still land on the target when you want to. I would very much also suggest that eventually you practice these in all keys, because eventually you'll need to be able to be fluid in all keys to play comfortably on a number of jazz standards. Anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, email me, put questions in the comments here, and like I said, subscribe to my channel to get any future videos and to see ones that I've already made. This is Pete Martin. Thanks for watching, and happy jazz playing.